So picture this. A late-night host, 20 years on the air, makes one controversial comment. And just like that, in a matter of days, his show is suspended. Indefinitely. We're going to break down exactly how corporate power and political pressure took one of TV's biggest names off the air, and what it means for, well, all of us.
And this is the line that lit the fuse. After the tragic assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, Jimmy Kimmel said this on his show, talking about people he felt were working very hard to capitalize on the murder. And boy, the corporate firestorm that followed was immediate and frankly overwhelming.
Okay, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll look at the comment itself. Then we'll watch the corporate dominoes fall, one by one. After that, we'll unpack the kind of complicated power structure of broadcast TV. And finally, we'll get into the big questions. What does this mean for comedy, and why does this story matter so much?
All right, so first up, the comment that really started this whole media earthquake.
So the setup is the assassination of Charlie Kirk, who founded Turning Point USA. In his monologue, Kimmel talks about how some people were reacting to the tragedy. And this immediately split everyone. Was he making a fair point about political opportunism, or was it a totally insensitive thing to say while the country was mourning? Now, you can debate that all day, but the corporate world, their reaction was not up for debate at all.
So how in the world did this blow up so fast? Seriously, what happened next was a wild ride. It's a perfect example of what happens when a controversy smacks right into corporate interests.
I mean, just look at this timeline. What's so wild is the speed. We're not talking weeks or months here. The whole thing, from the comment on Monday to his show being suspended on Friday, it all went down in less than one business week. It's just incredible.
So the first domino to fall was a huge one. Nexstar, which is the biggest owner of local TV stations in the U.S., announced its 28 ABC stations were dropping the show. They called the comments offensive and insensitive. And just like that, a massive chunk of Kimmel's audience was gone.
And the pressure just kept building. The very next day, another media giant, Sinclair Broadcast Group, did the same thing, pulling the show from their 38 stations. So you've got Nexstar and Sinclair together, and suddenly ABC is looking at a full-blown rebellion from its own affiliates.
But Sinclair, they took it a step further. They didn't just pull the show. They came back with a list of demands. They wanted Kimmel to personally donate money to the political group Kirk founded. And then, get this, they announced they were going to run their own show in Kimmel's time slot, a tribute to Charlie Kirk.
So here's the bottom line. ABC is staring down its biggest partners, who are flat out refusing to air their show. And they made a choice. The network that had Jimmy Kimmel on the air for over 2 decades decided to suspend the show indefinitely. They chose business over their own star.
Now, to really understand why ABC caved so quickly, you've got to get how broadcast television actually works, because it's not as simple as you might think. The network isn't always the one calling all the shots.
Okay, so check this out. You've got the network, ABC. They create the shows, right? But then you have the affiliates, companies like Nexstar and Sinclair. They're the ones who actually beam the content into your home. And here's the kicker. They can just refuse to air a show. If they do that, a national show basically disappears in huge parts of the country. That's some serious leverage.
And there's another layer to this onion. It was reported that a top federal regulator basically cheered on the affiliates for dropping the show. Now that creates what's called a chilling effect. It isn't direct censorship from the government, but it's like this unspoken threat hanging in the air. It sends a very clear signal to every station owner about what kind of content is and isn't okay.
So yeah, this is about way more than just one host. This whole mess forces us to ask some really tough questions about what you can even say on TV anymore. And that is the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it? If the network isn't the one with the final say, and the host clearly isn't, then who is? Is it the corporations that own the local stations, the advertisers, regulators in Washington? What this story shows is that the power might be a lot farther away from the actual comedians and creators than we think.
Look, when you boil it all down, there are 3 really big takeaways here. 1, money talks. Economic pressure can easily shut down free speech. 2, you don't need an official censorship law. Just the hint of a threat from regulators can be enough. And 3, nobody is safe, not even a guy who's been a TV star for 20 years. When big corporate and political interests team up, anyone can be vulnerable.
So let's zoom out for a second, because what's really important here is seeing how all these different pieces came together at just the right moment to make this happen.
What we're really looking at here is a perfect storm. You've got a handful of giant companies owning hundreds of local stations, which gives them immense power. You mix that with our incredibly divided political landscape, and when those two things collide, bam, they can silence a major media voice in the blink of an eye.
Honestly, this whole incident is basically a playbook for how to control what's on TV. Step 1, a controversial comment. Step 2, huge media companies use their power. Step 3, a regulator gives a little nod of approval. And Step 4, a major network has no choice but to bench its own show. It's a clear, simple, and repeatable formula.
And that leaves us with this final, crucial question about the future of media. When you have this much pressure from business and politics, who really gets the final say on what we all get to watch and hear? Because if this incident is any indication, it's not the people making the shows. It's the people who own the airwaves.